Welcome back, welcome back. Now this video is going to be strictly only about the concept of storytelling, how to utilize it, make great use of it as an individual, and be able to use it in any kind of field of any kind of walk of life for your own advantage, to your own good. And by doing that in an authentic way, you can also give back some of yourself and your potential to humanity, which will make this world a better place than you found it. So, before I start, I'm going to do a little recap of the previous video that talked about the epiphany, how I got the epiphany through the video of Dan Coe and Devon Erickson, and also my thoughts on generalism and value. Let me just sum it up with my thoughts on generalism and value, then head to the insight, then we will head directly to the concept of storytelling in and of itself. Here we go. My thoughts on journalism and value are as follows. Make sure that the thing you create to give as value to others is fun to do or make and somehow excites you. Why should it be important that it is fun and exciting? Well, because fun and excitement shall keep you going when the juices, your drive and motivation, which are your juices, might start running low. And if they run low, you don't have the energy to push through and do things. But with fun and excitement in the picture, you will be able to build a bridge past those hard times where your energy is running low and your juices are like depleting. Another thing to do is having your goals clear to you, close and visible, because that will help in knowing thyself and realizing your potential fully. And now I will say, I created a table where on the left side, it says what helps on having your goals clear to you, close and visible, and what that thing entails. I have about 5 examples and I'm going to go through them right now. So I will start with vision boards because that's the thing that helped me the most. I created my own vision book. I show that in a video, let me say, was it video 7 or 6? You can check my videos. You will see like about my lifestyle, my room that I create in. And that is where you will see the vision board in. This technique, I kind of did my own version after reading through this book and also trying my luck at finishing this calligraphy basic course, which turned into my own vision board. Okay, here we go. Life vision book. See that effect? This is actually real gold. I wrote using gold and it was such a pain because I first had to draw using pencil, and then remove the pencil and then try to outline and then fill in the linings. And that is how it ended up looking. Whoa. And this one is to separate the so-called forward from the starting page. And this is what it looks like. And then from there on, I just went on and created 2 different topics. What I felt like was a matching vision board. For success, this is what you get. The next thing will be financial gains, job and YouTube and all that stuff. Freedom, to be able to travel anywhere at any time to any place whenever I feel like, with a great mindset, being in nature, slow life. Then we have something like family and home. Look at this sticker. Oh my gosh. I just love this thing. I got it from Temu, whatever it's called. Now the thing is, vision boards always entail reasons to change, regrets. Then we go to lists, mostly known as bucket lists. These always entail causes for your drive, mostly experiences and things that you can have from working on that list or working through that list. Then there is something that is quite rare that most humans don't use, but analytical people and people who are like fans of James Bond will kind of use, or people who are very straightforward. Missions. Missions entail mostly pent-up emotions, revenge, rage, or goals and targets to achieve, execute on, act upon. And that helps you discard all other things that are not helpful, and then you just move forward and you progress fast. Then there is plans. Plans are like promises to yourself, pathways, roadmaps that help you get from point A to B. And point A to B can be from now to then, from here to there, or from this moment, this version, to perfect self, perfect version to be. And then there are targets you have set for yourself in your life, which mostly entails chasing after idols, people who you like, role models, and ideals and concepts. Now to the insight. The insight is as follows. I had to write this down because it came like a download, and I knew that if I didn't write it down, it will be gone. And there is no way I will be able to put this into words in form of a free speech without having anything noted down. So here we go. The insight. Skills, personality, experience, value, and the rewards for providing a certain value to others, as in the fucks given about oneself, in regards to titles, status, money, and fame that all brings with it, all boil down to one thing, which is storytelling. Stories told to us, stories we tell others, stories we tell others about ourselves, stories we tell ourselves about others, and stories we tell ourselves about us. Those are the 5 phones that I think are mostly used when it comes to storytelling. Let me give you an example. The Christmas season. A time of celebration for many people around the world, regardless of origin, culture, and religion. If you're not a Christian, you probably got hooked by friends, family, media, and colleagues in regards to this season. If you are a Christian and you're religiously connected to Christmas, but know of some non-Christians who celebrate and honor Christmas season in some way, then it is due to the fact that the impact of the stories built around Christmas is just great, insane, and captivating. Remember the AIDA concept from the previous video? Attract attention, raise interest, create desire, encourage action. AIDA. That is it. The impact is very important for having that process become a success. And the impact comes from the morals within the stories and the main story of the protagonist himself, Jesus Christ, documenting his hero's journey to ascension with valuable life lessons, leaving a path behind him for others to follow. As in, by him living his life and lessons through the stories of how he lived his life and the person he was, it is a kind of path left behind, in addition to his teachings, for people to follow. And people who follow that path gain knowledge and wisdom and kind of start embodying this Jesus Christ energy. That energy of his authentic self that he imparted onto the rest of the world through his followers and apostles. So I think if Jesus would live in our current times, as in physically live in our current times, because I think as a spirit or etheric being, he is everywhere. But if he would embody a physical body in our current times, that guy would be like an insane influencer. No question about it. Just like many other people who were engineers and inventors and great contributors to humanity in one way or another, if they would live in our times today, they would make use of all things available to them, meaning media, technologies, and all that stuff. And they would have a great influence on humanity. So they would also be doing the same thing, making great use of storytelling. So the impact was able to change humanity, the lives of several people, shaping their behaviors and personality in ways that only good storytelling is capable of. And that is why, as storytelling has evolved over the years, it is crucial to individuals to be able to tell good stories about themselves and present themselves in a way that tells a matching story to their authenticity. So what exactly is storytelling? You might see it as a word to be defined, but in my eyes, it's more of a concept. What is this concept of storytelling about? Storytelling, the concept, has 4 steps which then conclude into a formula, in my opinion. So this is how I have dissected it, analyzed it, based on my research and the insight, and how I see it. Number 1, the concept of storytelling deals with issues, problems, hurdles, duties, tasks, and challenges which equate to experience. Now, number 2, the experience, which equates to having results, can be perceived negatively, neutrally, or positively. That will be the second step. The third step is all types of results hold messages, as in essences of the experience in various forms. These forms are wisdom, knowledge, insights, lessons, and morals, or codes of conduct. Maybe even principles that result out of that. And the fourth step is, from the messages and essences, an impulse and urge to share is formed, and that is when the telling of the stories starts. Mostly as a warning for others to heed, a crucial information needed to succeed, as a path to take to reach somewhere or something, and as a certain way of doing things, carrying out a specific deed or task. So we get to the formula, the conclusion. Experiences lead to results that hold messages, essences in forms of wisdom, knowledge, insights that evoke an impulse to share, which all equals to the concept of storytelling. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome, you're welcome. That will be the insight. That is what I felt as I was watching the Danko video, and that is why I had to write it down. And that will be it in a nutshell, and that could be the end of this video, but to me, to someone like me, that would not be enough to be able to make use of it and utilize it. I have the method, I have the steps, yes, but it's not enough. So let's have a look at how storytelling evolved. In my opinion, based on some research, we had in ancient days just some certain sounds, cave paintings, and then from there on we got together, had groups and tribes with language and tools. As our neocortex started forming and evolving from the reptilian flight or fight to the mammalian monkey brain, where it was like, okay, I have my instincts and animalistic behaviors, barbarism. We got to the frontal cortex and the neocortex, the human brain, forming around all those other two, creating the versatility of the human being and the Homo sapien as we know ourselves today. So with that, early communities with generational skills were formed. Then we had campfires in those situations. You could see it as good old school Netflix. Then from there on, kingdoms with bloodlines and folklore were not so far away. And out of that, empires with trading networks, art and culture were the result. And that also helped create the history we know of and the kingdoms or countries and the world as we know of it today. Which means, in a nutshell, education occurred. From the privileged aristocrats and secret societies to the theologians and scholars of religious groups, followed lastly by the general populace, specialized to non-specialized fields like smiths, tailors, carpenters, bakers, accountants, It all was thanks to someone like Gutenberg, who revolutionized book printing in about the 1450s using flexibly movable letters, as in really chunks of metal, in the forms of the alphabet, which was the method he used to print his own version of the Bible around 1452 to 1454. And as that became a success with the machine that he used, the result helped spread the technique around the world because his machine could be replicated, therefore the technique could be replicated, and thus the process of creating books was no longer something that was done manually by humans, as was done before with the people who were scribes from monasteries who would write down and copy books or wisdom. It was then turned into a generalistic thing of someone being able to operate this machine and having the wisdom of operating this machine. And you would have printing factories created out of that. And that, of course, made it possible for normal humans to be able to possess books because the cost was no longer so high that only the rich and privileged had access to it. So then schools started having books, and the books turned into general wisdom for everyone. And then people started going to schools, having access to those books, and then the population started getting more and more educated. Now, we all know that the more educated a society became, the more innovative power it obtained, which fueled advancements on all levels. And if done well, through good governing, it would lead to prosperity. First world in regards to a third or fourth world. So now, today in our times, I see 5 major ways of how storytelling is happening based on the concept of storytelling. One of the ways is writing and literature, where we have stories, poems, articles, social media posts, scientific papers. The second would be entertainment in general, because we love entertainment. That would be movies, music, podcasts, audiobooks, games, YouTube videos, books, mangas, comics, and all the kind of stuff. I mean, if I hadn't read comics, fantasy books, sci-fi, mangas, and all those fictional stuff, even manhwas, things like Solo Leveling, or watching movies like The Bulletproof Monk, or the Matrix series, as in the movie series, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Pulp Fiction, I wouldn't be the kind of person I am right now talking about this stuff. The third thing would be visual and performing arts. Things like paintings, photography, sculptures, theater, design, architecture. Then we have culture and tradition, which would be the fourth way, through myths, folklore, festivals, or traditions, rites, initiations. Then we have the fifth way of how storytelling is being carried out in our day and age, which is education and media, meaning lectures, books, documentaries, tutorials, social media. Though I dare to say that social media is no longer that social as it was meant to be. It's more of a, yes, you have more access to more people, but no, you don't have real access unless you put efforts into that. And you can't have 100 friends who you have equal time, quality time with. It's always a select few that you can count maybe on both hands. And that is why social media is kind of like a funny term for me. Anyway, those are the main ways we all get in contact with storytelling, causing our tastes, needs, desires, and preferences to change according to what we get exposed to or decide to consume. Some people are okay with more, let me say, quantity than quality. Some people are okay with quality than the quantity. They don't need so much, but they want what they have access to have that oomph, that impact, that exquisiteness. Then there is C, a balance between quality and quantity with a good flow and harmony that is rewarding. That would be me. That would be me. Now the truth is, what you consume is what you become. We know that in the food industry, you eat shit, you turn to shit. Literally, your whole body and the chemistry within your body just degenerates and gets into a bad situation. The same thing happens to what you consume media-wise, visually, orally and phonetically, and through any other kind of way. So it somehow shapes and makes you. Just as a balanced diet nourishes the body, engaging with a diverse range of media and storytelling methods can enhance your skills in it. Personally, I found that studying the masters of any field, analyzing their work, mindset, and the journey they took to reach their level can significantly accelerate growth in whatever you're researching in that field. So if you study the masters of storytelling, great movies, read great books, philosophers, and all that other stuff, you will have no other choice than getting better at it if you take hints from that, a thing or two, and put it into practice and try your own way of replicating that. So by following in their footsteps one step at a time, you can quickly improve and master your own abilities. That means find the fun stuff that is somehow intriguing and exciting to you or sparks your curiosity. Learn about it, what it is, how it was created, with which mentality, which techniques and skills were used, which tools were needed. Be open to new knowledge, ideally matching to your goal or target. Put in the efforts to have the new experiences which will give new results. Because we all know from Albert Einstein, he said, trying to solve a problem with the same mentality that created the problem is an absolute no-go. You will always have the same results based on that mentality. So to move beyond the problem and find a solution, you'll have to change your mentality and do things differently. So you can't expect to get different results by doing the same thing all the time. You have to look at yourself, be really, really honest with yourself, and see that what you have been doing till now hasn't maybe been working. Are there other ways to do things? Who has had the same issue and has solved it? How do they solve it? How do they get to that point? How do they find their results or get to their results? And see what they did, follow their process, break it down into steps that work for you, and replicate it. And you will see that you will find a solution that is matching to you. And that will make you proud of yourself. At least that's how I do it, to get different results from a mentality that got me into a problem that I want to solve. Now, I've also been noticing how in the past few years, great movies, shows, and series have been rapidly decreasing in quality, leading to a drop in intensity and impact. Because I always watch and consume these things for the impact. And once I noticed that the impact was starting to, decrease, if I say something like Thor Ragnarok in comparison to Thor Love and Thunder.
It's a valiant effort, but you never stood a chance. You see, I'm not a queen or a monster. I'm the goddess of death. What were you the god of again?
It's too strong. Without my hammer, I can't.
Are you Thor, the god of hammers? That hammer was to help you control your power, to focus it. It's never your source of strength.
I'm not as strong as you.
No. You're stronger.
Tell me, brother, what were you the god of again?
There's no point to go into the temple, is it? No. Oh.
You get what I mean. As in literally, you get what I mean. What the fuck was he doing a split for to show off his flexibility? That is so stupid. I don't even understand why a god would try to show off like that. Doesn't make sense to me. I was so pissed off at that movie. I asked myself, who is going to give me money for the time I invested in this kind of crap? That is what I feel like made me be so enraged that I felt like I could have done a better job if I were the writer and director, because anything was better than that crap. Thor Ragnarok was great, really good. Thor Love and Thunder, fuck that shit. Anyway, back to the topic. I noticed that the impact was decreasing and ultimately a fall in availability and quantity of good storytelling was happening. It made itself visible through too much propaganda and messaging, with a political route steering away from the story and characters, leaving little room for good development, or an unfolding where ideas from the past were reused, to the loss of the audience if done with little effort and creativity because it was very predictable. This resulted in some awfully obvious material, which was too unrelatable for the majority, lacking zero flow, harmony, or exciting twists, which was all summed up into utter boredom. As I repeat, Thor Love and Thunder, what the fuck was that? What was Marvel thinking about? I don't get it. Anyway, with better storytelling, with things like, let me say, Lord of the Rings 1 to 3, Harry Potter, all movies, well, some not so good, but most of them. Bram Stoker's Dracula, Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, Underworld, most of them. Chronicles of Narnia, the book, not the movies, the book. Sculptures of Michelangelo, Bruce Lee's fighting spirit, the warrior mentality and philosophies. That was the story he was telling about himself that impacted many people. That impact that makes everyone who watches his movies want to wear a yellow suit with black stripes and start using nunchakus. Paintings of Rembrandt, master of proportions and lighting. Inventions and art of Leonardo da Vinci, William Shakespeare's writings and creations. Charles Dickens' old fairy tales, most Disney classics and some new ones. Solo Leveling, the manhwa, insane, my favorite hero's journey story. Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Boku Girl, The Devil Butler, Kaiju number 8. Some Marvel and DC comics, Calvin and Hobbes, the first comic book I ever read. Music from Beethoven, Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, Prince, Led Zeppelin, Queen, Whitney Houston, and other master singers, songwriters. These are just a few mentions off the top of my head, which have had an impact on generations of societies all over the world. That was good storytelling. That is what we expect when we invest our time and money and resources into something or someone or creation of art and get a rewarding feeling from that and are willing to do that again. But with things like Thor, Love and Thunder, no way, never. Trust gone. The connection to the audience gone. The identification with the art itself and the characters and protagonists gone. Literally anything you can do wrong with storytelling happened in that movie. Most of the movie. So yeah, try not to be like Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, I will break this down for now and take a break, and then we'll continue with my vision for the future.